The chamber was enormous, built to hold representatives from 100 different worlds. Commander Deho walked through the massive doors with his team behind him. His uniform was simple compared to the others in the room. No gold decorations, no shining metals, just dark blue fabric with the Earth symbol on his shoulder. Captain Minho walked on his left side, carrying a data tablet. Lieutenant Jiwan was on his right, her eyes scanning the room carefully. They were the only humans in a space filled with aliens who had been traveling the stars for thousands of years. The Galactic Council chamber floated in neutral space, orbiting a system that belonged to no one. Through the large windows, Deho could see stars stretching in every direction. Somewhere out there was Earth, smaller and younger than almost every civilization represented here today. They reached the center platform. Around them, council members sat in elevated seats, looking down at whoever stood in the middle. It was designed to make visitors feel small. Deho had read about this in the briefing files. He kept his face calm and waited. A tall figure emerged from the opposite entrance. General Thex Ral of the Vryloth Empire stood nearly 8 feet tall. His skin was dark purple, covered in scales that reflected the light. 4 arms crossed over his massive chest. Behind him, a dozen Vryloth officers marched in perfect formation. The general's eyes fixed on Deho. His mouth curved into something that might have been a smile on a human. On Thex Ral, it looked like a predator, seeing wounded prey. So these are the humans, Thex Ral's voice boomed across the chamber. He spoke in the common galactic language, but his tone made every word sound like an insult. I expected you to send warriors. Instead, you send this. Minho's hand tightened on the data tablet. Jiwan's jaw clenched. Deho simply nodded politely. General Thex Ral, Deho said. His voice was quiet but clear. Thank you for agreeing to meet. Thex Ral laughed. It was a harsh sound that echoed off the chamber walls. Several council members shifted in their seats. Some looked uncomfortable. Others seemed amused. I did not agree to anything, Thex Ral said. The council requested this meeting. I came because I wanted to see what creatures would dare claim rights to the threshold system. The threshold system was the reason they were all here. 5 planets, 2 of them rich in rare metals. The system sat between human space and Vryloth territory. Both sides claimed it. Humans had found it first and established mining outposts. The Vryloth said it was too close to their borders and demanded humans leave. Deho pulled up a holographic display from Minho's tablet. It showed the threshold system, with human outposts marked in blue. We established our presence there 8 months ago, Deho explained. Our people have built stations, begun mining operations, and your people are insects crawling on resources that belong to the Empire. Thex Ral interrupted. He waved one of his 4 hands dismissively. The Vryloth Empire has ruled this region of space for 3,000 years. You humans barely learned to leave your planet 200 years ago. You think this gives you rights? We think the law gives us rights, Deho replied calmly. Galactic settlement law states that. Thex Ral moved forward with surprising speed for such a large being. He stopped just a few feet from Deho, towering over him. Deho did not step back. He looked up at the general with the same calm expression. Law. Thex Ral said the word, like it tasted bad. You hide behind laws because you are weak. Your entire fleet could not stand against a single Vryloth battle group. We are not here to fight, Deho said. Of course you are not. You cannot. Thex Ral turned to address the council. I have reviewed human military capabilities. 87 ships. Small vessels with outdated weapons. Shields that my youngest officer could penetrate. They call this a fleet. Laughter rippled through some of the council members. Deho noticed which ones laughed and which ones stayed silent. He filed that information away for later. The Vryloth Empire has 500 warships in the border region, Thex Ral continued. Each one larger and more powerful than anything humans possess. I could sweep your presence from the threshold system in an afternoon. Jiwan started to speak, but Daeho raised his hand slightly. She stopped. General, Daeho said, we came here to propose a peaceful solution. Peaceful? Thexral spun back to face him. Yes, I will give you peace. Leave the threshold system. Abandon your outposts. Retreat back to your own territory. Do this, and I will not destroy your ships. The people in those outposts are miners and scientists, Daeho said. Civilians with families. We cannot simply, you can, and you will. Thexral's voice became hard. I give you 48 hours. Evacuate your people, or I will do it for you. And I promise you, human, my methods will not be gentle. The chamber fell silent. Even the council members who had been laughing earlier looked serious now. Open threats of violence against civilians violated several galactic laws. But everyone in the room knew that laws only mattered if someone could enforce them. Daeho stood quietly for a long moment. He seemed to be thinking. Finally, he nodded slowly. I understand your position, General, he said. May I ask one question? Thexral waved a hand, granting permission. If we choose to defend our outposts, you will attack? I will annihilate you. Thexral showed his teeth again. Your fleet will be debris. Your outposts will be dust. I have fought in 37 campaigns across the galaxy. I have never lost a battle. Your primitive warships will add to my victory count. Nothing more. I see, Daeho said. He turned to Minho. Captain, please note the General's statement for our records. Minho's fingers moved across the tablet, recording everything. Daeho faced Thexral again. Then we will consider your ultimatum. 48 hours, you said? 48 hours, Thexral confirmed. After that, I advance. I recommend you use the time wisely. Running takes longer when you are afraid. More laughter from parts of the council. Daeho noticed which species laughed again. He also noticed which ones looked at him with what might have been pity. Thank you for your clarity, General, Daeho said. He performed a small, respectful bow. He turned and walked toward the exit. Minho and Jiwan followed. Behind them, Thexral called out one more time. Commander Daeho, when you run, at least do it with some dignity. The galaxy is watching. Daeho stopped. For just a moment, his calm expression changed. The corner of his mouth lifted slightly. It was not quite a smile. It was something else. Something that made Jiwan glance at him with sudden curiosity. The galaxy is indeed watching, General, Daeho said without turning around. I will remember you said that. Then they walked out. The doors closed behind them. They moved down the corridor in silence until they were alone in a private chamber. The moment the door sealed, Minho turned to Daeho. Commander, Minho said, are we really going to retreat? Daeho walked to the window. Outside, stars burned in the darkness. Somewhere out there, the Vryloth fleet was preparing for war. 500 ships against 87. Any military computer would calculate those odds as hopeless. Captain Minho, Daeho said quietly. Did I say we would retreat? You said we would consider his ultimatum. Yes. I considered it. Daeho turned to face his officers. His calm expression was still there, but now his eyes held something different. Daeho teched. Something sharp. I considered it very carefully. And I have made my decision. What decision, sir? Jiwan asked. Daeho pulled up a holographic display. It showed the threshold system and the space around it. His fingers moved across the display, marking positions, drawing lines, creating patterns. We are going to do exactly what I told the General we would do, Daeho said. Minho looked confused. Sir, you didn't tell him anything specific. Exactly. Daeho's slight smile returned. General Thexral thinks he knows what humans will do when faced with superior force. He thinks we will run, or surrender. He has fought 37 campaigns, and in every one, Fear made his enemies predictable. But we're not afraid? Jiwan asked. Oh, we should be terrified, Daeho said. 500 ships against 87. Any sane person would be afraid. But fear and wisdom are not the same thing. He expanded the holographic display. More details appeared. Trajectories. Timing sequences. Fields of numbers that made Minho's eyes widen. Send this to all ship captains, Daeho ordered. Classified channel. Eyes only. They have 46 hours to prepare. Prepare for what, sir? Minho asked. Daeho looked out at the stars again. To teach the galaxy that humans learned something important during our short time out here, he said softly. We learned that the strongest warrior is not always the smartest one. And we learned that a fight is won before the first shot is fired. He turned back to them. Now let us show General Thexral what human strategy really looks like. The human fleet moved through space like frightened animals running from a predator. Their ships scattered in different directions, engines burning at maximum power. On the surface, it looked like exactly what General Thexral had predicted: panic and retreat. Aboard the Vryloth flagship Times, Eternal Dominance **. Officers watched the human ships flee on their displays. They smiled and made jokes about human cowardice. General Thexral stood at the center of the command deck. All four of his arms crossed in satisfaction. They run even faster than I expected, he announced. Increase speed. I want to reach the threshold system in 6 hours. We will arrive before they can evacuate completely. His second officer, Admiral Vexthar, studied the tactical display more carefully. General, their flight pattern seems unusual. All cowardice is unusual to a Vryloth warrior, Thexral replied. They scatter like insects. There is no pattern to study. What Vexthar saw, but could not explain, was that the human ships were not simply running. They were moving in very specific directions, at very specific speeds. But since the movement looked like panic, he decided not to question the general further. 500 Vryloth warships moved forward in a massive formation. It was beautiful, in a terrible way. Perfect lines of ships stretching across space. Each vessel bristled with weapons. Their shields glowed with power. This was the fleet that had conquered 40 star systems. This was the force that had never known defeat. On the human flagship Times, Soul's Pride **. Commander Daeho sat in his chair and watched the displays with calm eyes. Around him, his bridge crew worked in silence. Every person knew their role. Every action had been practiced 100 times. Captain Minho stood beside Daeho's chair. All ships report they have completed deployment. Commander. The field is active. How many units did we place? Daeho asked. 47,300,000, Minho replied. Spread across a three-dimensional space of approximately 200,000 cubic kilometers. Daeho nodded. And they remain undetected? The Vryloth sensors show nothing. Each unit is smaller than a grain of sand. Their AI is in passive mode. To any scanner, they look like space dust. What the Vryloth fleet did not know was that as the human ships had fled, they had been deploying millions of microscopic devices. Each one was a marvel of human engineering, tiny minds with adaptive artificial intelligence, powered by microfusion cores that would last for years. Engineer Hyun had designed them in secret over the past 3 months. His team had worked day and night, preparing for exactly this scenario. They had known that eventually, some larger power would challenge humanity's right to exist in this region of space. They had planned accordingly. Hyun now stood in the engineering section of Time's Soul's Pride **, monitoring his creation. His screens showed the invisible field of mines spreading through space. To anyone else, it would look like random dust particles. But Hyun knew the truth. Each mine was connected to its neighbors through quantum communication. They formed a network, a web, a trap waiting to be sprung. Commander, Hyun spoke through the communication channel. The cascade pattern is ready. We can activate on your command. Not yet, Daeho replied. Let them commit fully. In another part of the ship, Lieutenant Sora checked her fighter's systems for the 5th time. Around her, 23 other pilots did the same. They sat in the launch bay, waiting for the order. Sora was the best pilot in the human fleet. She had scored highest in every simulation. But simulations were not real combat. Real combat was what she was about to face, and the odds were insane. 24 small fighters against 500 massive warships. Lightning Squad, Sora spoke to her pilots. Remember the plan. We are not trying to win a fight. We are trying to complete our marks. Fast in, marks placed. Fast out. Anyone who tries to be a hero will answer to me. Her pilots acknowledged. They were scared. Sora could hear it in their voices. But they would do their jobs. Humans were good at doing impossible jobs. The Vryloth fleet advanced. General Thexral watched the threshold system grow larger on his displays. He could see the human outposts now. Small stations orbiting the resource-rich planets. Pathetic structures compared to Vryloth architecture. General, his communication officer reported. We are receiving a message from the human fleet. Put it on display, Thexral ordered. Commander Deho's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired, defeated. General Thexral, Deho said. We need more time to evacuate. Some of our transport ships are having engine trouble. We request a 12-hour extension. Thexral laughed. You request? You have no position from which to request anything. Human, you have. He checked his display. 4 hours and 17 minutes before my fleet arrives. I suggest you work faster. I were not work support, and today. Please, General. Deho's voice sounded strained. We have children on those stations. Families. Just a few more hours. Your poor planning is not my concern. Thexral said. 4 hours. 17 minutes. Then I open fire on anything that remains. He cut the communication. Around him, his officers laughed. Some made comments about human weakness. Thexral basked in the moment. This was what victory felt like before the battle even began. What he did not see was that back on Time's soul's pride asterisk, Deho's tired expression vanished the moment the communication ended. Minho looked at him with barely hidden amusement. Do you think he believed it? Minho asked. He believed exactly what he wanted to believe. Deho replied. That is the nature of arrogance. It makes you blind to possibilities you have already dismissed. Ji-Wan worked at her station, monitoring all Vryloth communications. Sir, I am reading their tactical network. They are maintaining standard battle formation. No scouts deployed. No advanced screening. Why would they? Deho said quietly. They believe we are already defeated. Defeated enemies require no special precautions. The clock counted down. 3 hours. 2 hours. 1 hour. Lightning Squad, prepare for launch. Deho ordered. In the fighter bay, Sora's heart began to race. This was it. She pulled her helmet on and sealed it. Around her, engines came to life. The bay doors began to open, revealing the star-filled void beyond. All pilots, Sora said. Remember, we are ghosts. They should never see us coming. The fighters launched silently. They moved through space with their weapons cold, their emissions minimal. Human fighters were small compared to Vryloth vessels. That had always been seen as a weakness. Today it would be an advantage. Sora guided her fighter toward a cluster of asteroids. The threshold system had plenty of them. Good cover, good hiding spots. Her squadron split up, each pilot heading to their designated position. They moved between rocks, powered down, and waited. The Vryloth fleet entered the threshold system at exactly the predicted time. 500 warships crossed the boundary line together. Their formation was perfect, mathematically precise. Every ship in its proper place. Aboard Time's Eternal Dominance asterisk, General Thexral stood tall. Begin scanning for human vessels. I want targets identified and prioritized. Sir, the scanning officer reported. We are detecting only 17 human ships. They appear to be transport vessels fleeing the system. Only 17? Thexral frowned. Where is their fleet? Unknown, sir. Perhaps they retreated to their home territory. Thexral considered this. It was possible. Smart even. Why sacrifice warships in a battle they could not win? Better to save the fleet and abandon the system. Yes. That made sense. Very well, he said. Advance to the outposts. We will secure them first, then pursue the transports if needed. The Vryloth fleet moved deeper into the system. Every second took them further into the invisible web of mines. The microscopic devices detected the massive ships passing through their network. Their AI systems activated, identifying targets, calculating positions, waiting for the activation command. In her hidden fighter, Sora watched the enemy fleet through passive sensors. They were so big, so powerful. Each Vryloth warship could destroy her fighter with a single shot. There were 500 of them. She took a deep breath and pushed the fear down. Fear made you freeze. Fear made you slow. She could not afford either. Commander, she reported. Lightning Squad is in position. Marking points are identified. Stand by, Deho's voice came back. The Vryloth fleet reached the center of the threshold system. They surrounded the human outposts. Weapons powered and ready. Thexral prepared to give the order to fire. On Time's Soul's Pride asterisk, Deho watched his tactical display. Every enemy ship was now inside the kill zone. Every escape route was covered. The trap was perfect. He thought about all the species that had dismissed humanity. Too young. Too weak. Too small. Let them think that. Let them make assumptions. Assumptions were the foundation of every successful trap in history. Deho looked at Jiwan. Lieutenant, open a channel to all human vessels. Encrypted. Channel open, sir. Deho spoke clearly. All ships. This is Commander Deho. Activate Protocol Cheongju. I repeat. Activate Protocol Cheongju. Lieutenant Jiwan's hands moved across her controls. She entered a code that had been prepared months ago. A code that sent a single quantum signal to 47,300,000 microscopic minds. The signal said one thing. Execute. In space, invisible to sensors, the minds woke up fully. Their AI systems linked together in a single massive network. They identified every Vryloth ship. They calculated shield frequencies, energy patterns, structural weak points, and they prepared to show the galaxy what human engineering could really do. Deho leaned back in his chair. Minho, he said quietly. How long did the general say his battles usually lasted? He did not say, sir. Pity. Deho replied. I would have enjoyed telling him that this one will be over in 11 minutes. The first Vryloth ship lost its shields at exactly 14:27 Galactic Standard Time. The warship Times Crimson Victory Times was positioned on the left flank of the formation. It was a battle cruiser, end quote, 3 kilometers long, armed with enough weapons to destroy a small moon. Its shields were rated to withstand sustained fire from 20 enemy vessels. Those shields vanished in 3 seconds. Not destroyed, not overwhelmed, simply gone. The electromagnetic pulse from the mines struck at precisely the right frequency, and the shield generators shut down as if someone had flipped a switch. On the bridge of Time's Crimson Victory asterisk, alarm screamed. The shield officer stared at his console in disbelief. Captain, shields are offline. All generators have shut down. Restore them, the captain ordered. I cannot. The generators are not damaged. They are just not responding. Before the captain could respond, a human fighter appeared from behind an asteroid. It moved fast, impossibly fast for something so small. A single missile launched. The missile was not large. It did not need to be. Without shields, the Times Crimson Victory Times was vulnerable. The missile struck the ship's engine section. Not a killing blow. Not meant to be. The explosion disabled the main propulsion system. The massive warship began to drift, unable to maneuver, unable to fight effectively. Lieutenant Sora's fighter was already gone, racing toward the next target. Behind her, more human fighters emerged from hiding. They moved like wolves among sheep, striking fast and disappearing. Aboard Time's Eternal Dominance Asterisk, General Thexral saw one of his ships go dark on the tactical display, then another, then 3 more. "What is happening?" he demanded. Admiral Vexi Thar worked frantically at his station. "Sir, we are detecting unusual electromagnetic activity throughout the fleet formation. Ships are losing shields in sequence. Pattern suggests coordinated attack, but we detect no enemy weapons fire. That is impossible. Find the source." More ships lost their shields. The AI network, controlling the mines, worked with perfect precision. It calculated the shield frequency of each Vryloth vessel, generated the exact pulse needed to disable it, and executed the shutdown. The mines worked in groups, their combined pulses creating interference patterns that overloaded shield systems without damaging them. It was elegant. It was brilliant. It was completely outside Vryloth tactical experience. Thexral watched his perfect formation begin to break apart. Ship captains, seeing their shields fail, began to maneuver defensively. Some tried to retreat. Others attempted to form defensive clusters. The beautiful mathematical precision of the Vryloth fleet collapsed into chaos. "All ships, maintain formation," Thexral ordered. "Do not break ranks." But fear had entered the equation now. Fear made people stop following orders. Fear made them act to save themselves. Commander Deho watched from Time's Soul's Pride asterisk. His tactical display showed the Vryloth fleet fragmenting. Red icons indicated disabled ships. Yellow icons showed ships with failing shields. Green icons marked ships that still maintained defensive capability. But those were changing to yellow and red at a steady rate. "Minho," Deho said. "Time since activation? 3 minutes 40 seconds, sir. Current enemy casualties? 137 ships disabled. 0 destroyed. Good. Maintain precision strikes. Engines and weapons only. No hull breaches." This was important to Deho. He could have ordered the mines to explode, could have told his fighters to target crew sections, could have killed thousands of Vryloth warriors in minutes. But that was not the goal. The goal was to win without unnecessary death, to prove a point about strategy, not about cruelty. Some said this made humans weak. Deho believed it made them strong. Any fool could kill. It took wisdom to win without killing. Sora lined up her next target. A destroyer-class vessel. Its shields flickered, struggling against the electromagnetic pulses. She waited for the exact moment when they failed completely, then fired. 2 missiles. Both hit the weapon batteries along the ship's spine. Explosions blossomed. The destroyer's offensive capability dropped to 0. Lightning 3. Target disabled, Sora reported. Moving to Lightning 4. Around the battlefield, other human fighters executed the same precise attacks. They had trained for this. Run simulations 100 times. Each pilot knew exactly what to do. The Vryloth fleet had superior numbers and firepower, but they were trained to fight opponents who attacked directly, opponents who charged forward with weapons blazing. They had never faced an enemy that attacked from invisibility, that disabled rather than destroyed, that turned their own formation into a trap. General Thexral felt something he had not felt in 37 campaigns. Uncertainty. It crept into his mind like cold water. He looked at the tactical display and could not understand what he was seeing. "Where are the human warships?" he asked. "We see only fighters. Where is their main fleet?" "Unknown, sir," Vexthar replied. "We are detecting minimal emissions from beyond the asteroid field, but nothing concrete. Could they be hiding among the asteroids?" Possibly, sir. But even so, we outnumber them 5-1. We should be winning this engagement. Should be. Those two words hung in the air like an accusation. Another wave of shield failures rippled through the fleet. The mines had learned the Vryloth shield frequency patterns and adapted. Now they could disable shields faster, more efficiently. The AI network was getting smarter with each passing second. All ships, full retreat, Thexral ordered. He hated the words as they left his mouth. Retreat. The word tasted like poison. But staying here was suicide. The Vryloth fleet tried to turn around. This was when the true genius of the trap revealed itself. The mines had not just been placed in the center of the system. They had been deployed along every logical escape route. As the Vryloth ships tried to flee, they ran into new fields of electromagnetic pulses. Ships that still had shields lost them. Ships trying to jump to faster-than-light speed found their jump drives disrupted by interference. They were in a geometric cage. Every direction led to more mines. Every attempt to escape triggered new attacks. We are surrounded. Vex, Thar reported. The interference patterns extend in all directions. It is like we are inside a sphere of enemy weapons. Thexral's 4 hands gripped the edges of his command station. How many ships remain combat capable? 91, sir. No, wait. 76. The numbers are dropping rapidly. How long since the attack began? 7 minutes. 7 minutes. In 7 minutes, his fleet of 500 warships had been reduced to 76 combat-capable vessels. His mind refused to accept it. This was not possible. Wars did not work this way. Battles took hours, days, not minutes. A communication channel opened. Commander Deho's face appeared on the main display. He looked calm. Perfectly calm. As if he was simply calling to discuss weather conditions. General Thexral, Deho said politely. I am opening a direct channel to discuss terms. Terms? Thexral's voice came out as a growl. You dare speak of terms? I dare, yes. Because I believe you are a practical being, General. You can see what is happening to your fleet. You can see that this will end only one way if it continues. If Thexral wanted to rage, wanted to curse, wanted to order every weapon to fire at maximum power in all directions. But he looked at his tactical display and saw the truth. His fleet was dying, not from superior firepower, not from brave enemy warriors, from invisible mines and small fighters, from strategy and planning, from everything he had dismissed as weakness just 48 hours ago. What terms? He asked quietly. Power down all weapons, Deho said. Cease all attempts to escape. My ships will stop attacking. Then we will guide your vessels out of the minefield safely. You would let us go? I was never trying to destroy you, General. I was trying to stop you from destroying us. There is a difference. Thexral stared at the human commander. Why? You have won. You could finish this. Kill us all. To what purpose? Deho replied. My people came to the threshold system to mine resources, not to make corpses. We wanted peace. We still want peace. But we will defend ourselves if we must. Another ship lost its shields on the tactical display. Then another. Thexral was out of time. How? He asked. How did you do this? We scanned for mines. We scanned for weapons. We detected nothing. Deho's expression did not change. You assumed we would fight the way you fight. With large ships and heavy weapons. With force and power. But General, there are many ways to win a battle. You taught me something important in the council chamber. What did I teach you? You told me that you had never lost a battle, that you had fought 37 campaigns and won them all. That made me realize something. You had only ever fought enemies who tried to match your strength. You had never faced anyone who tried something different. Thexral understood then. Understood completely. You planned this from the beginning. From the moment you laughed at our peace proposal, Deho confirmed. You made assumptions about human capabilities based on what you could see. You assumed we had nothing else. That assumption was your mistake. I underestimated you. Yes. And General, I am truly sorry that you will go home with a loss on your record. But I am not sorry that my people will survive. I am not sorry that we defended ourselves. And I am not sorry that we did it without killing thousands of your warriors. Thexral looked around his bridge. His officers stared at their stations, defeated. His fleet was disabled. His pride was shattered. But his people were alive. He made the only choice left to him. All Vryloth ships, he spoke into the fleet communication channel. Power down all weapons. Cease escape attempts. Await human instruction. Across the battlefield, the Vryloth fleet went dark. Weapons, systems, shut down. Ships stopped trying to flee. The battle was over. It had lasted 11 minutes. Commander Deho nodded once. Lieutenant Jiwan, deactivate the minefield. Captain Minho, begin recovery operations. I want safe paths plotted for every Vryloth vessel to exit the system. Yes, sir, they both replied. Deho looked at Thexral one more time. Your crews will be home by tomorrow, General, alive and well. Perhaps you can use the journey to think about whether strength and wisdom are the same thing. He ended the communication. On the bridge of times, Soul's Pride *, silence held for a moment. Then, Minho spoke quietly. Sir. Yes, Deho replied. We did. And now the galaxy knows that humans are not prey. The news traveled fast, faster than light itself, through quantum communication channels that connected every corner of known space. Within 2 hours, every major civilization in the galaxy knew what had happened at the Threshold system. The Vryloth Empire, undefeated in 3,000 years, had lost. Not in a close battle. Not in a hard-fought campaign. In 11 minutes. Against a species barely 200 years old. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with activity. Representatives from 100 worlds gathered in emergency session. Holographic displays showed the battle data again and again. Council members watched in silence as the Vryloth fleet fell apart, piece by piece. Councillor Hana sat in the human delegation section. She was older than Deho, with gray hair and sharp eyes that had seen many political battles. She had been humanity's representative to the Council for 15 years. In all that time, she had fought for respect that never came. Today, everything had changed. A representative from the Keltharian Confederacy approached her. The Keltharians were an old species, proud of their military traditions. They had barely acknowledged humanity's existence before today. Councillor Hana, the Keltharian said. His voice was respectful. Respectful. That was new. My government wishes to open formal discussions about military cooperation. We would very much like to understand human tactical systems. Hana smiled politely. I will forward your request to our military command, though I suspect they will be receiving many such requests today. She was right. By the end of the day, 47 different species had requested meetings with human military officials. 16 had proposed alliance treaties. 8 had offered technology exchanges. 3 had asked if they could hire human military advisors. The galaxy had noticed humanity. Finally, truly. In the Vryloth home system, Empress Vilzara sat on her throne and read the battle reports. She was ancient by Vryloth standards, having ruled for 200 years. She had seen the empire expand across the stars, had presided over countless victories. This defeat stung in a way that victories never felt sweet. Her advisors stood before her, waiting for her rage. The Empress was known for her temper. Failures were punished severely. But she did not rage. She sat quietly, reading the reports 3 times. Finally, she looked up. Where is General Thexral? His ship is en route to the capital, Empress, one advisor replied. He will arrive in 6 hours. I want him brought to me immediately upon arrival. Not to the punishment cells. To this throne room. I will speak with him personally. The advisors exchanged glances. This was unexpected. And send a message to the Human Council representative, the Empress continued. Tell her that the Vryloth Empire acknowledges the events at Threshold System. Tell her that we are prepared to discuss a formal peace treaty. Ryloth. 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 Empress, another advisor said carefully. The Vryloth Empire does not negotiate with species that attack us. The humans did not attack us, Vilzara replied coldly. We attacked them. They defended themselves. There is a difference. If we cannot see that difference, we will make the same mistake again. She stood, her robes flowing around her. The Empire has ruled for 3,000 years because we are strong. But strength without wisdom is just violence. Today we learned that lesson at great cost. Let us at least learn it well. Aboard Time Soul's Pride *, Commander Deho sat in his quarters and wrote his report. The battle had ended hours ago. The Vryloth fleet had been safely escorted out of the Threshold System. Not a single Vryloth warrior had died. 43 were injured. Mostly minor wounds, from the chaos of their ships losing power. On the human side, 0 casualties. 2 fighters had taken minor damage. 1 transport ship had a hull breach that was quickly repaired. That was all. Deho's door chimed. Come in, he said. Captain Minho entered, followed by Lieutenant Jiwan and Engineer Hyun. They looked tired, but happy. The way people looked after surviving something impossible. The last Vryloth ship just left the system, sir, Minho reported. We are receiving a message from Counselor Hana. She wants to speak with you, when you have time. Tell her I will contact her within the hour. There is something else, sir. Minho pulled up a data tablet. We are receiving communication requests from across the galaxy. Military organizations, governments, research institutions. Everyone wants to know about the battle, about our tactics, about the mines. Deho nodded. He had expected this. Forward all requests to Council diplomats. They will decide what information we share and with whom. Do you think we should share the mine technology? Jiwan asked. It could change warfare across the entire galaxy. That is precisely why we must be careful about sharing it, Deho replied. A weapon that disables without destroying could save millions of lives. Or it could be used to enslave civilizations without killing them. We need to think carefully. Hyun sat down in one of the chairs. The engineer looked exhausted. He had not slept in 36 hours. Monitoring the mine systems to ensure they worked perfectly. Commander, I have been analyzing the battle data. The AI network performed better than we predicted. The mines learned and adapted in real time. By the end of the battle, they could disable a Vryloth shield in under 2 seconds. How long did it take at the beginning? Deho asked. 5 seconds. Deho considered this. So the system gets smarter the more it is used. Yes, sir. And there is something else. The mines are still out there, still active, still learning. We could recall them, but they are also gathering incredible data about space conditions, electromagnetic patterns, even gravitational anomalies. They could serve as a sensor network if we leave them deployed. Make it so, Deho said. But ensure they are in passive mode only. No more offensive capabilities unless we specifically activate them. Already done? Sir. Minho looked at Deho with curiosity. Sir, may I ask you something personal? Go ahead. When did you first plan this? The mines, the retreat, all of it. Deho leaned back in his chair. The mine concept has existed for 3 months. We knew that eventually we would face a superior force. That is the reality for a young species in a galaxy full of old, powerful civilizations. So, we asked ourselves, how do we defend against forces we cannot match in direct combat? And you came up with the mines, Jiwan said. Engineer Hyun came up with the mines, Deho corrected. I just recognize their value. But the specific plan for the threshold system? That formed the moment General Thexral laughed at us in the council chamber. Because he revealed himself, Minho said, understanding. He revealed his arrogance, his assumptions. Exactly. He told us everything we needed to know. That he had never lost. That he dismissed human capabilities. That he believed fear makes enemies predictable. Every word he said gave us information about how he thinks, how he fights, what he would expect. Deho stood and walked to the window. Outside, the threshold system looked peaceful now. The mining stations still orbited their planets. The asteroids drifted in their ancient paths. Nothing had changed. Except everything had changed. The truth is, Deho said quietly, we had advantages he never considered. We are young, new to the galaxy. That means we have not become set in our ways. We can still think creatively. We can still try things that older civilizations dismiss as impossible or beneath them. They underestimate us because we are small, Hyun said. Yes. And we can use that. Not through deception, but through innovation. Let them see our small ships and think we are weak. Meanwhile, we develop technology and tactics they have never imagined. We fight smart instead of fighting hard, Jiwon smiled. And today? We proved it works. Today we survived, Deho corrected gently. That is all. We survived one battle against one fleet. The galaxy is vast. There are forces out there that make the Vryloth Empire look small. We cannot become arrogant just because we won once. Arrogance is what defeated General Thexral. We must not let it defeat us. A communication alert sounded. Minho checked it. Sir, it is General Thexral. He is requesting a private communication with you. Deho raised an eyebrow. Just me? Yes, sir. Audio only. Very well. I will take it here. You three are dismissed. Get some rest. You have earned it. Resalting. They saluted and left. Deho waited until the door closed, then activated the communication channel. General Thexral, he said. This is unexpected. Thexral's voice came through, and it sounded different from before. No arrogance, no mockery, just tired honesty. Commander Deho, I am calling to ask a question, not as a general to an enemy, as one warrior to another. I am listening. Why did you spare us? You could have killed my entire fleet, ended the Vryloth threat to human space permanently. Why did you choose mercy? Deho thought about his answer carefully. General, I read your military history before our meeting. 37 campaigns, hundreds of battles. You have killed many enemies. Yes. Did killing them bring you peace? Silence. Then, no. It brought victory. Exactly, Deho said. We did not want victory. We wanted peace. Killing your fleet would have given us victory. Yes. But it would have made the Vryloth Empire our permanent enemy. It would have forced them to send more fleets, bigger fleets, until someone destroyed someone, war without end. So, you chose to humiliate us instead. I chose to show you that we could defend ourselves without slaughtering you. To prove that humans are not prey, but also that we are not monsters. We are simply people who want to live in peace, but who will fight with every advantage we have when forced to defend ourselves. Another pause. You have given me much to think about, Commander, and you have given us something valuable, General. You gave us respect. Reluctant respect, perhaps, but respect nonetheless. That is worth more than any battlefield victory. Will you share your mind technology with the galaxy? Thexral asked. That decision is above my authority. Deho replied. But, if I had a voice in it, I would say this. Technology is neutral. It can be used for good or evil. We will share it only with those who convince us they will use it for good. The Vryloth Empire could become your ally, Thexral said. After today, I believe my Empress will see the value of human friendship. Then perhaps something positive came from this after all, Deho said. Safe journey home, General. Safe journey, Commander. The communication ended. Deho sat alone in his quarters, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was changing its mind about humanity. Some would respect them now. Some would fear them. Some would want to test them. The real work was just beginning. 1 month after the Battle of Threshold System, the galaxy looked different. Admiral Deho stood on the observation deck of the new human embassy station. Yes, Admiral now. The promotion had come through 2 weeks ago, along with enough medals to weigh down a smaller man. He wore none of them today, just his simple uniform with the Earth symbol on the shoulder. Through the massive windows, he could see dozens of ships from different species. They orbited the embassy station, waiting for meetings, negotiations, trade agreements. A month ago, this station had been empty, except for one small human diplomatic office. Now it was the busiest location in this sector of space. Captain Minho approached from behind. He had been promoted too, now serving as Deho's chief of staff. Is everything prepared? Yes, sir. Representatives from the Vryloth Empire are already in the ceremonial hall. Empress Vilzara herself is attending via holographic link. Deho nodded. The Vryloth Peace Treaty was the reason for today's ceremony. A formal agreement declaring the Threshold System as shared territory under human administration. The Vryloth would have mining rights to 2 of the planets. Humans would control the other 3. Profits would be split according to a complex formula that had taken 3 weeks to negotiate. But more importantly, the treaty included mutual defense provisions. If either humanity or the Vryloth Empire faced attack, the other would provide military assistance. It was not quite an alliance, but it was close. How does it feel to make history, sir? Minho asked. Heavy, Deho replied, honestly. Every choice we make now affects billions of people. I preferred it when I just had to worry about 87 ships. They walked together toward the ceremonial hall. Along the way, they passed dozens of representatives from other species. Many nodded respectfully to Deho. A few even bowed slightly. It still felt strange. In the hall, Counselor Hana waited with the diplomatic team. She looked pleased with herself. As well she should. The treaty was mostly her work. Deho had fought the battle, but Hana had won the peace. Admiral, she greeted him. Everything is ready. Though I should warn you, after the ceremony we have 17 species requesting private meetings with you. 17? Deho sighed. What do they want? Most want to discuss military cooperation. 3 want to purchase the mine technology. 2 want to hire you as a military advisor. She smiled. And 1 wants to offer you command of their entire fleet. Tell them all I am honored. But I already have a job. I did. They are persistent. The ceremony began exactly on time. The ceremonial hall was designed to impress, with high ceilings and holographic displays showing the flags of both humanity and the Vryloth Empire. Empress Vilzara appeared as a massive hologram, her image towering over everyone in the room. Beside her hologram stood former General Thexral. He was no longer a general. The Vryloth military had stripped him of rank after the defeat, as Deho had expected, but they had not imprisoned him or executed him. Instead, Thexral now served as the Empire's military attaché to humanity. It was both a punishment and an opportunity. He would study human tactics and strategy, learn from the species that had defeated him, and perhaps, in time, teach the Vryloth Empire how to fight smarter instead of just harder. Thexral caught Deho's eye across the room. He nodded once. Deho nodded back. There was respect there now. Hard-won respect, but real. The treaty signing took 15 minutes. Formal words were spoken. Documents were signed. Holographic images were transmitted across the galaxy. And just like that, humanity and the Vryloth Empire went from enemies to partners. After the ceremony, Deho found himself in a private meeting with Thexral. The Vryloth stood by a window, looking out at the stars. He seemed smaller somehow, without his general's uniform, more thoughtful. "The Empress has asked me to thank you again," Thexral said, "for sparing my fleet, for giving us the chance to make this treaty." "How are your crew?" Deho asked. "The ones who were injured? All recovered. Most are back on active duty." Thexral turned to face him. "I have been studying the battle data. The way you used the mines, the fighters, the timing. It was perfect. Mathematical. How long did you practice that plan?" "We did not practice that specific plan at all," Deho admitted. "We practiced the principles. Adaptive thinking, using enemy assumptions against them, fighting asymmetrically. Once we had those principles, we could create a plan quickly based on the specific situation. So you could do it again? Against a different enemy? If we had to, yes. But we would prefer not to." Thexral made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You are the strangest warriors I have ever met. You win battles, but do not celebrate. You defeat enemies, but offer them peace. You have power but do not seek more power. Maybe that is why we survived," Deho said. "Older civilizations expand until they meet resistance. Then they fight. They make enemies everywhere. Eventually, the enemies unite, and the empire falls. We saw that pattern, and decided to try something different. Make friends instead of enemies? Make friends when possible. Defend ourselves when necessary. Never fight for pride or glory. Only for survival or protection." Thexral was quiet for a moment. "I am supposed to learn from you. Study your tactics so the Vryloth Empire can fight like humans. But I am starting to think the real lesson is not about fighting at all." "What is it about then?" "Wisdom. Knowing when to fight and when to talk, when to push forward and when to step back, when to show strength and when to show mercy." He looked at Deho directly. "These are lessons I should have learned long ago. I was a general for 40 years. I thought war was about winning battles. You showed me that war is about achieving goals. Sometimes, battles help achieve goals. Sometimes, they do not." "You are learning faster than I expected," Deho said with a slight smile. "I had a good teacher. A painful lesson, but a good teacher." Later that day, Deho met with Lieutenant Sora and her fighter squadron. They had become heroes across human space. Their precise strikes during the battle had been analyzed in every military academy. Young pilots wanted to be like them. Sora looked uncomfortable with the attention. She was a pilot, not a celebrity. "Admiral," she said when they met in the pilot's ready room. "I wanted to thank you for recommending my promotion. But I also wanted to ask for a favor." "What do you need?" "Permission to train new pilots. We are getting recruits from all over human territory. They watched the battle recordings and think being a fighter pilot is exciting and easy. I want to teach them the truth." "What is the truth?" "That the battle was terrifying. That we were one mistake away from dying. That the only reason we survived was planning, discipline, and luck. I want them to understand that being a good pilot is not about being brave, it is about being smart and prepared." Deho nodded. "Permission granted. Set up the training program however you think best." "Thank you, sir. One question, Lieutenant. During the battle, were you afraid?" Sora thought about lying, then decided against it. "Yes, sir. Very afraid. Those Vryloth ships could have vaporized my fighter with a single shot. But you still did your job, because I knew the plan would work. Because I trusted you, and Engineer Hyun, and everyone else. Fear does not go away, Admiral. You just learn to work with it." "That is wise," Deho said. "Teach your pilots that. Teach them that fear is not the enemy. Carelessness is the enemy. Arrogance is the enemy. Fear can keep you alive if you use it right." In the engineering section, Hyun was showing his mind technology to a delegation from the Keltharian Confederacy. They had been approved to receive the technology after extensive diplomatic negotiations. But Hyun was careful about what he showed them. The minds themselves are simple, he explained. Microscopic fusion cores, basic AI, electromagnetic pulse generators. The real innovation is the network protocol, the way they communicate and coordinate. The Caltharian engineer leaned forward, studying the holographic displays. And you are willing to share this network protocol? We are willing to share a version of it, Hyun corrected. One that allows the minds to coordinate for defensive purposes. The full military-grade version remains classified. I understand. Even so, this technology will change how we defend our borders. Use it wisely, Hyun said seriously. These minds can disable ships without killing crews. They can stop wars without creating massacres. But they can also be used to imprison entire fleets, to hold civilizations hostage. The technology is neutral. How you use it is your choice. The Caltharian Confederacy will use it honorably, the engineer promised. I hope so. Because humanity will be watching. 3 weeks later, Daeho was called to an emergency council session. A new species had been detected entering known space. The Korvash Collective. They were aggressive, expansionist, and had already attacked 3 border outposts belonging to different civilizations. Counselor Hana briefed Daeho on the situation. They have 50 warships in their advance fleet. Maybe more behind them. They are demanding territory and resources. Several species have asked if humanity would be willing to help with defense. Daeho studied the reports. The Korvash ships were different from Vryloth vessels. Faster, more maneuverable. They used swarm tactics instead of formation fighting. Different enemy, different challenge. What have we told them? He asked. That we will consider their request. But Daeho, if we commit to helping defend against the Korvash, we could be starting a war. Or preventing one, Daeho replied. If the Korvash see that multiple species are willing to work together to defend themselves, they might reconsider their expansion plans. Or they might see it as a challenge and attack harder. True. Daeho thought for a moment. Send a message to the Korvash Collective. Tell them that humanity and our allies are willing to discuss peaceful border agreements. Invite them to a diplomatic meeting. And if they refuse, then we start preparing defenses. But we try talking first. Always try talking first. The message was sent. The Korvash response came back within hours. They agreed to meet, but insisted it would be a waste of time. They were coming to take what they wanted, not to discuss it. Daeho smiled slightly when he read the response. It reminded him of General Thexral's attitude at the first council meeting. Arrogance and certainty. Assumptions about human weakness. He called a meeting with his staff. Minho, Jiwon, Hyun, and Sora all gathered in the conference room. We have a potential situation, Daeho explained. He laid out the Korvash threat. They have agreed to meet, but they are also mobilizing their fleet. Intelligence suggests they will demand we surrender territory and resources. And if we refuse? Minho asked. They will likely attack. Hyun pulled up tactical data on the Korvash ships. Their vessels are different from Vryloth. Smaller, faster. They use swarm formations. Our mine strategy might not work as well against them. Then we adapt, Daeho said. We have 3 weeks before the meeting. Engineer Hyun, can we modify the mines to handle faster, more maneuverable targets? Possibly. The AI network could be optimized for tracking multiple small targets instead of fewer large ones. Do it. Sora, train your pilots for combat against swarm fighters. Different tactics will be needed. Yes, sir. Minho, work with our allies. If this turns into a fight, we will need coordinated defense. Multiple species working together. On it, Admiral. And Jiwon, Daeho turned to his communications officer. I want you to research everything we can find about Korvash culture. Their history, their values, their psychology. If we are going to talk to them, we need to understand how they think. Understood, sir. The meeting ended. The staff went to their tasks. Deho sat alone in the conference room, looking at the star maps. The galaxy was vast, full of species, civilizations, threats, and opportunities. Humanity had proven itself once, survived one test, but there would be others. There would always be others. The key was not to win every fight. The key was to avoid unnecessary fights while being ready for necessary ones. To be smart instead of just strong. To make allies instead of enemies. To prove again and again that humanity deserved its place among the stars. A communication alert chimed. Thexral's face appeared on the screen. "Admiral Deho?" the Vryloth said. "I heard about the Korvash situation. The Empress has authorized me to tell you that if it comes to battle, the Vryloth Empire will honor our treaty. We will stand with humanity." "Thank you, Thexral. That means a great deal. It is strategic necessity," Thexral said. But then he added, "And perhaps something more. Perhaps it is what allies do." After the communication ended, Deho allowed himself a small smile. 1 month ago, the Vryloth Empire had been enemies. Now, they were partners. The galaxy was changing. Slowly, painfully, but changing. He pulled up the deployment orders for the fleet. Time to start preparing. Not for war, necessarily, but for whatever came next. Because there would always be a next challenge, a next threat, a next test, and humanity would face it the same way they had faced General Thexral. With intelligence, planning, and the understanding that strength without wisdom was just violence. Deho began drafting his strategic plans for the Korvash situation. In his mind, he was already thinking 3 moves ahead. Not just about the immediate meeting, but about what would come after. About how to turn potential enemies into neutral parties, or even allies. It was what humans did best. They adapted, they learned, they survived. And now, finally, the galaxy was beginning to understand that humanity's greatest weapon was not their ships or their technology. It was their minds.